Welcome to Elevation Nation with your hosts Sam Panich and Parker Yablon. Elevation Nation is a community focused on bringing together young adults who are elevating themselves and others every day. Each Thursday, we take 15 minutes to talk about what's going on in the real world and touch on all the great things that Elevation Nation is up to. What's going on, Elevation Nation? The time we're recording this episode, Sam and I just so happened to be together in the state of Florida. We are about to head over to the Colony Hotel in West Palm Beach to do a speaking event with the Modern Gentleman, elevating about 20 young adult men on their mindset. We're super excited. It was an incredible trip thus far. We got a lot of brainstorming. We went on a run this morning. It was just so eye-opening that being together is truly a difference maker when you're trying to get ideas across. Would you agree? I mean, it's definitely easier than just talking all the time through a camera.
It's so good to be together in person. I mean, Parker and I don't get to spend that much time together, but I talk to him all the time. I guess time in real life is a little more rare. But no, it's great to be together. We are so excited to be at the Colony Hotel, elevating the mindset of people with our new concept. Not really new. We just changed the name. More to come on that later. We'll probably do a whole episode on our shift from mental fortitude to something new. But Parker, you saw a crazy podcast clip the other day that is essentially the antithesis of what we believe at Elevation Nation. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this was something that came up last week, and if you know the founder, Mark Anderson, he is a guy who's very successful in the tech world. I believe he was the founder of Netscape, called the Godfather of Silicon Valley. He basically put together a ton of ideas to make the technology movement what it is today. He's a multi-billionaire, runs one of the most powerful VC funds in the entire world. And he went on a podcast last week and basically said that he does zero introspection. And he almost looks at introspection as a very negative thing if you're really trying to make an impact in the world of business or just honestly in life. He even went to say, and you can listen to the episode itself if you search his name, that the idea of introspection was made up as a marketing tactic in the 1900s to create an entirely new industry around people's problems and helping them with their mental health. And I read this, and obviously I immediately said this to Sam, and there was a lot of hot takes on the internet. But I'm like, dude, are we teaching something that that is not needed? Like a billionaire, a guy who's very, very successful, said, yeah, it's not needed. It actually makes things more challenging than ever. And then I thought about it, and I said, wait, let's take a stance on this. We still believe, as introspective guys, that introspection is needed to succeed and elevate in both business and life. And I think this was a big part of our keynote that we've changed up a little bit in West Palm, is the idea that to push forward, to elevate, you need to look inward. And without looking inward, what is your guidance? What is your moral compass? How are you stepping forward in the world? So, Sam, I'm curious. I know we talked a lot in the keynote, too, about some people that we respect that probably would be like, Mark, you're an idiot, from the likes of, Marcus Aurelius, Abraham Lincoln, Steve Jobs, Kobe Bryant, Plato. I mean, people who are pretty introspective have been very successful, too.
I think Mark is living his life. Parker called him successful, and sure, he's totally financially successful. Absolutely, that is a fact. But I think there's more to life than just being financially successful. It's a lot of different things that most people care about. And certainly putting your head down and being naive to your emotions, your feelings, or introspection can be an advantage to making more money. It might even be an advantage to feeling better because you get to be numb to all the feelings, the ups and downs that life has to offer. When you pretend that everything is fine and no matter what happens in life, you keep pushing forward and aren't introspective. We used to call that the the elevator curse, right? This mindset that we look introspectively automatically as who we are. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because people without it can live a simple or a billionaire life and just be happy with whatever. But I think those that dig a little bit deeper, become introspective, look inward to move forward, they're able to move forward in a more purposeful way. And so, all these other great leaders, of course, throughout the world, and I think most human beings enjoy, maybe not enjoy, find fulfillment with digging a little bit deeper internally. And I think it's super important. Of course, obviously, we've been preaching it at Elevation Nation, but it's helped build me into the man I am today. I know it's helped countless other people. When they look inward, they're able to move forward with more purpose and more passion, which I think is part of the meaning of life.
I think there's also this shift. I mean, we've talked about this before on the podcast that our parents' generation, when they grew up, they would go, and even our grandparents' generation, you go and you work. It's like output based. It's like you show up, you put your head down, you do what's needed to be done, and you don't question the system. You don't question the reason because you're getting your paycheck. You owe yourself to that individual. And now I feel like we're in this world, this generation, where we question the world. We question our own individualism. We've seeked this idea of, wait, there's more to life than just work. And I sit here and I'm like, no wonder a guy like Mark, who's built mega businesses, billionaire, doesn't want that. Because he probably wants people to say, I'm just going to put my head down and work, because that doesn't benefit him. What does not benefit him is when people question the system. What does not benefit him is when people reflect more and maybe realize they want to start their own business possibly, which could become a competitor to him one day. Who knows? But I think we're in this day and age where people are wanting more. People are more reflective because, one, we're human. Secondly, we want to make like our own things in the world. And I think the world is shifting in that way. But then I come back to, we just talked about Marcus Aurelius. Dude was really introspective then. Maybe it's just who we are as like a species that we're able to reflect and look at our own like ego and sense in the world. And like, it's almost inhumane to not do that.
It's a fair point. I think it might be what separates humans from maybe some other species, our spirit and our soul. And so while I certainly understand Mark's perspective, life is sometimes easier when you put blinders on. When you stay naive, it's a blessing. You don't have to see the realities of world, and especially not the realities of you internally. And so it makes sense why some people would take this approach in life. For us, and how we want to get the absolute most out of life, it's not a question. It's not something that works for us. Being introspective is the fuel for us to continue to grow, to continue to become better versions of ourselves, and continue to hopefully also make money at the same time.
But it's also like who we are as people. And that's why I felt like so angry when I saw that, because I'm like, that's who I am as like Parker. Like I've always been that way. And basically saying that since you're that way, you're not gonna make it, which I think it was a little upsetting and a little challenging. But then I'm like, wait, all these people we've interviewed on the podcast, Elevation Nation's been all about reflection and introspection. And it doesn't matter if we just interviewed you a week ago or 5 years ago. These people figured out and continue to make an impact in the world because they're so reflective in who they are and what they want out of life. And then The difference is that they don't just sit in that. And maybe that's what Mark is referring to, is that people just sit in their thoughts, and that is impeding them to make an impact. Well, at Elevation Nation, we definitely don't say just go sit in your thoughts. Go sit in those thoughts. Be real with yourself, your pains, your sorrows, your struggles, your weaknesses, your strength. But then go do something about it. Take a step forward based on what you've uncovered and revealed in your reflection. And so maybe we have to go back to Mark and be like, can we counter your point a little bit? We can be reflective. It's very helpful to be reflective. But as long as you're doing something with that.
Yeah, Mark. So if you're out there, we'll have you on Elevation Nation, no problem. We'd love to talk to you about how introspection is a skill set that helps you move forward with more purpose. And I agree, Parker. I think a lot of people do become introspective and then become paralyzed from that and sit and sulk and stew, which is an unhealthy way to be introspective. But I think introspection or reflection can help lead to fortitude. It can help give you that inspiration, that extra fuel or fire to move forward when times get tough. So,
yeah, damn right. We talked about in the speech, Steve Jobs, founder of Apple, right? If you don't know his story, they built the computer, things didn't go so well, and so they overthrew him, and they kicked him out of his own company. They fired him, but this guy was so brilliant and such a deep thinker that he would spend his times after he got fired just going on long walks in the woods, thinking about his world, reflecting on what he could build, reflecting on what went well, what didn't go well at the Apple. What ended up happening? We all know how this ends. We're using an Apple computer right now. He goes back to Apple. They introduce iTunes and the iPod and the reinvention of the iMac and the iPad, and they changed modern society forever. And that all came from that reflection period that he had in his life. But he did something about it. And so Elevation Nation, if there's anything that you can take away from this episode, is not that billionaires want you to keep your head down and just make money for them. It's that we still think the most successful people in the world, the ones that truly elevate, are the ones who reflect and look inward to move forward. But it all starts with looking inward and having the mental fortitude to do that. And then, of course, take a step forward and actually believe in yourself to make something happen. Sam, it's fun having you down in Florida. Really good time, exceptional experience with the modern gentleman. It was a fun one. And so we're going our separate ways next week, but we got a busy schedule ahead of us, I'll tell you that. 15 gigs or something like that. And by the way, I know we don't have 15 places we're going to speak, but I count every start and end to a speech as 1 gig. I'm putting that out there because it is. It's 1 gig. If we start and end a speech, we could do it 5 times for the same client, but that's 5 gigs, not 1. I'm just putting that out there.
the math is mathing. Until next week, Elevation Nation. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to Elevation Nation. If you enjoyed our conversation, hit that subscribe button to get notified when we release a new episode. If you would like to join Elevation Nation or get more information about the nation, please visit our website at www.elevationnation.io. Until next week, Elevation Nation, peace.